Hi, my name is Dr. Patrick Fries here at Ward Lab. I'm the Director of Research and Development and Soil/Soil Health Testing. I thought for our Thursday thoughts, I'd talk about some of the bulk density testing that we do here, both for just general bulk density testing, then also for the carbon markets. We get a lot of questions about these carbon markets, carbon stocks, how they're tested, and then some of the programs that are supporting this work. So just talking about bulk density in general, bulk density is a pretty useful measurement. It's just the mass of the soil, the oven-dry soil, over the volume of the core. And average bulk density values are typically around, say, like 1.2, 1.3 for just an average soil. And then they can fluctuate from there. Bulk density is a good metric in terms of monitoring your progress from management practices. So say if you're going from till to no-till, if you're adding soil amendments like compost, things like that, or looking at even some treatment effects, you should see with the increase in carbon in your soil, a decrease in bulk density. So there are a few different ways to do this. So for some of the sampling protocols, it really just depends on your area, what you're working with. So the topography, there's grid sampling, zone sampling. There's also composite sampling, which isn't really recommended for bulk density analysis. Composite is where you take multiple cores and then you mix them up to get an average for an area. You can technically do this, but then you would also have to multiply the core volume by that many times. So it's not really a common approach. Typically, you just take single cores for your bulk density, then average those results together. It's a little bit easier. So those are some of the sampling approaches for that. Then also there's the probes. So if you have smaller versus larger probes, typically larger probes, meaning the opening, the diameter, if it's larger, that's typically better because it can represent the area that you're looking at a bit more accurately. It can actually account for some of maybe the rocks, the coarse fragments in there. If you have a lot of coarse fragments in your soil greater than 2 millimeter, it can actually cause a non-filling of the core, I would say. So you get inaccurate bulk density readings. So those are just some of the sampling approaches for bulk density. In terms of the analysis itself, there's simple and then there's also comprehensive, or some people call it complicated bulk density. So for the simplified bulk density, that's just the mass of the soil in the core over the volume of the core. And you also take into account the water content, so you get the oven-dry mass of the soil. Now there's comprehensive bulk density, which then parses out greater than 2 millimeter fraction, less than 2, the water. So you're essentially cataloging all the different parts of the core to get a comprehensive bulk density. Basically, you're trying to see the bulk density of the mineral soil versus the coarse fragments and all that. Comprehensive bulk density is typically the approach for these carbon markets. So for the current blog post on the Ward website, I actually do have a blog post talking about this very thing, bulk density, the carbon markets. And so if you want to refer to that to see some of the background information on some of these programs, and I do mention Vera and B Carbon, which are some of the two largest players, I would say, in terms of, I guess, quantifying and calculating and amassing the credits and managing these credits for companies. And these credits are there, these carbon stock credits are there to help offset CO2 emissions through companies. And they do this through regenerative practices in some cases, increasing soil organic carbon. So that's why this is very important in terms of tracking carbon credits and promoting soil health. So if you want to participate in these programs, there are side benefits, both publicly and then also personally in terms of your agricultural practices. Now, for the actual calculations of these and, why are you doing bulk density measurements and all these things? So your bulk density, whenever you take the mass over the volume, you get a grams per centimeter cubed or a mass per centimeter cubed result. And then you take that and you multiply it by the organic carbon percent in your core, and then by the depth as well. So then with that, you get the volume or mass of your carbon density, your stocks basically, with whatever area you're looking at. And the depth can range, but typically they're doing about 0 to 12, maybe 0 to 8 in some cases, inches. But some people are going deeper, and they're also looking at different qualities of carbon. The organic carbon determination is actually a pretty important part of it as well. So we look at total carbon by using the combustion method, or LECO. It combusts the entire sample, and the sample's vaporized. It turns to CO2, and that's read with the infrared laser. And then you get total carbon amounts. Now, we can't analyze organic carbon directly, so we get it by subtraction, meaning we look at inorganic carbon, or the carbonates, and then we subtract that out. Some people do this through acid pretreatment, so they remove the inorganic carbon, and they'll run a sample before and after, and by difference, you'll get the organic carbon. We actually prefer the modified calcimeter method, which basically reacts the soil with some acid in a vessel, and then that creates CO2 from the carbonates, the inorganic carbon, and then we suck that out with an analyzer, and it reads it directly. And we find that's highly accurate, it's very sensitive, and it's quite reproducible, which is why we started doing this about a year and a half ago, and we have really liked the results quite a lot. So that's broadly the approach, some of the methods behind, and some of the concepts behind the carbon stock calculations and analysis. If you want more information on this, you can refer back to the blog I just read. There's about 3 parts to the blog, breaks it down in a lot of detail, including the calculations and some of them diagrams on how to sample, some of the different sampling approaches. And you can actually refer to some of their website information if you really want to dive deep into some of these programs. And yeah, thank you.